Hey everybody, we got Mike DeSecco here. Now I've been in communication with Mike for several months now, probably a year, maybe not more, if not more. Mike sells life insurance 100% over the phone, just like all you guys watching this video want to learn how to do. My name's Justin Von Meigden. I'm with SLS. We sell life insurance 100% over the phone, and that's my job. I help people learn how to sell over the phone, and I sell over the phone too. So we're going to talk to Mike here today about some things that work for him because Mike's had a 10,000 AP day. He's at a 7,000 AP week, and he's 17,000. Sorry, 17,000 AP week. Yeah, I messed up on that one.
That's
And
okay.
he's really mastered his craft. So Mike, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, brother?
Yeah. First off, I appreciate you having me on. It's been a blessing and super grateful to have the conversations with you. I had to reach out to you after I saw you on the Cody Askins. You won the contest, right? You won the telesales contest. So, I reached out to you. But, I'm from Connecticut. I've been in insurance for a while. I actually worked on the P&C side for a while at Farmers. After going through my own, I don't know, journey, you want to call it, or trials, tribulations of life, an agent in Connecticut gave me a shot, and I knew nothing about life insurance at that point in time. I just knew what P&C was and, went through all that. And the journey's taken me to life insurance. We were in the field first, and then that day that you just mentioned, I drove to Cape Cod from my house in Connecticut, which is like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's not
Got
close.
got no showed.
Oh God.
The next day, had a $9,800 day from my recliner with live transfers and said, I'm never leaving my house ever again. That was it. But I'm from Connecticut. I'm a single dad. I have an 18-year-old son who's about to get his license. I have a 12-year-old son playing Call of Duty over there. So if you hear screaming, that's him. And
Nice. I know that
that
feeling.
yeah, that's it, man. You know,
Sweet, cool dude. So it's funny you say that. I'm from Massachusetts, so
right.
I can only imagine going to Cape Cod to get no showed.
You
That
know the
uh,
little stickers? We have the little pads that like say, hey, we were here.
yeah,
Don't do this, everybody. Don't do this. But there was one on the mailbox, one on the front door, one on the window, one on the car, one on the doghouse. You name it. There was. Oh, that was
that's
tough.
funny. That's hilarious. I had one of those at my back door the other day. An agent somehow got like thought I was a lead or something. So I texted the guy. I was like, "Hey, I'm like, how much did you pay for that lead? I want to pay you back because
Oh,
whatever I felt bad. Whatever form I filled out somewhere to see someone else's marketing, that guy ended up paying for it. So I was like, dude, and
yeah.
he read the text too. He never replied though. I was like, I would have Venmoed him the money
Got to have an alter ego. Got to have an alter ego for those.
for it. Yeah, no, that would have been funny to get door knocked though. But cool. So Mike and I were here. We were talking about like we go back and forth talking about things to all telesales related. And we were talking about how important tone and delivery is in your sales pitch. And I think tone conveys a lot of things. It conveys your confidence. I had a guy, this really guy who's really good in sales the other day, or telesales the other day. He put a post on social media. He said, "It's not tone that makes a good salesman. It's helping someone make a decision." But I think that tone can actually help them make the decision. So it all goes into that. So Mike, what have you learned about like tone and how important is tone to your presentation into telesales in general?
It's everything. It's. I think tone and delivery are how we set ourselves apart, especially in the final expense market. You have to know your customer, right? So we are on the phone with folks 40, 45, 50, all the way up to 89 years old. These, especially if you're talking to a retired, vet or, these guys have and girls have talked to so many people, right? They've talked to so many salesmen. They've bought 50 cars. They've got, you know, flooring, carpet, you name it. So they don't want to hear a pitch, right? They don't want the runaround. They just want the information. And if you deliver that information, at least this is how I feel, right? Now I don't know if anything I'm going to say is correct, but this is, this is how I feel. if you're delivering that information in a tone and delivery that is, you say the doctor patient thing, right? With confidence, they're listening and they're trusting what you're saying because of the tone and delivery. You're not, or stuttering. And the more, it all plays into trust, right? Tone and delivery to me equal trust, right? If I deliver the news that they had no idea, like our philosophy as a group, we educate people on the phone. It's a very quick, we don't sit there forever, but if you're taking the time to educate the client when it comes to, anything, whether it's product or policies or, companies, that's great, but it's all in how you deliver it. It's all in how you deliver it.
So define delivery for me. What do you mean by that?
I mean, delivery, smooth, right? There's
Okay.
no, you know what I mean? You can say something in a certain tone, but if you don't know what you're talking about, it's hard to deliver, right? So, when we're describing whole life, if you know your product and, you're going through the different types and you don't know what you're saying, right? You don't have any idea what you're talking about. You can't really deliver that well.
You're right.
Um, you know, so it's just having the confidence, knowing your stuff, especially over the phone. You and I were just talking about this. There's no lifelines. It's very hard over the phone. There are lifelines, but it's much harder over the phone to get help. I mean, if you saw my setup right now, there's scripts, there's your objection page, there's like all this stuff up because I don't have an upline to call, right? So it's a lot different. But yeah, I mean, I just try to know the customer. I know that if I'm on the phone with like a 75-year-old ornery gentleman who is taking, final expense calls all day long, the second I'm like, hey man, click, he's done with it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And guys, I think a lot of people have trouble uh, in this industry because one thing Mike was saying there with reaching out to an upline. So I started face to face, and I had a similar experience where I had all these no shows. I was like, dude, I'm just going to try to do this over the phone. This really isn't a big deal. It's like 50 to $100 a month. There's no reason why this can't be done over the phone. So, and that's final expense. If you sell mortgage protection, the premiums are going to be higher. But like the separation with field and telesales for support comes down to telesales. All you have is like a group chat, and someone's going to be able to answer that question within like 10 seconds, or like, you can't sit there and put the client on hold. But when you're in the home, you can sit there and wait a little bit. So that's why, honestly, for a lot of new agents, like at our agency, it's a little different because we have people listening to calls all day who can hop on and help them with their sales. But I recommend to anybody getting into an independent model, you can make money either way.
Field
If you're
first.
getting an independent model, 100%, I'd say run some appointments face to face first, just so like you have like some sort of a semblance, an idea of like, hey, I know what my sales process is, because you have that forgiveness. Like people aren't just gonna, they can't just, they're not gonna kick you out of your house if you're like, hey, I got to reach out for help.
Right.
Sometimes people appreciate that.
No,
If you're on the phone,
I agree.
yeah,
I agree. They appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. So would you recommend someone similar to someone new if they were like run some appointments and then phone?
Just got off the phone with a guy I have starting, and we're going to try to run 50, 60, 70 in homes first before he, and he's not opposed to just staying in the field for a while. He's a college kid. He's going to run, Thanksgiving break. He's going to run Christmas break, and then, kind of be ready for the summertime to hit it hard. And I think that if we manage his time properly and he can get, maybe 30, 40, 50 appointments in on his 2 breaks, he'll have the idea, he'll have the outline of, the phone call and the structure of the phone call, a little bit of product knowledge. And then maybe he can try it over the phone in the summer. But, we have Zoom up all day. People jump in and out listening to the calls, and we record them all. So it's, telesales, like I was just saying, man, it's an art. It's difficult to do. You can have a perfect call and just still get, hosed at the end or hung up on, or, your tone can be perfect, your delivery can be perfect. It's much easier for someone to just hang the phone up than like Miss Loretta to just kick you out of her house.
Yeah. It really is.
So,
So what type of lead you prefer?
um, I like any lead, man. I just want to get on the phone with someone that's interested in looking for life insurance. That's it. I like final expense for telesales. We run mortgage protection telesales appointments. For mortgage protection, obviously more intricate, more complex when you're breaking down, because there's like a trend. All these homeowners took advantage of these rates, these super low rates over the last however many years, and
Yeah.
15 years into their mortgage, now they're 60, 65 years old, and they just extended to a 30-year mortgage, and they want the same policy that they got before. So now you're using a whole life product to explain to him, we got to buy Miss Loretta 18 months so that you don't lose your equity, right? And that,
Yeah.
to a new agent, no shot. You got to go final expense first, period. So, more intricate. You got to have both decision makers there, and that's something that I would say for any telesales, try to get that one out of the way first. Are all the decision makers right here and there? Because you want to get on to the next call if they're not.
I've closed people when they told like that. So that sale I won through Cody Askin's thing, that was a guy who told me my wife's going to be here, and I closed him at the end. I think that's probably part of the reason why I won. But he ended up canceling.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like 3 weeks later, so I won on that sale, but the guy didn't keep the policy. 3 weeks later, he was like, "Yeah, my wife found out I got a policy. She was pissed." I'm like, and that happens. So you guys can like push someone into the close, but like the chances of them canceling are so high. So what do you say? And what's your follow up structure from there?
I try to build some rapport, and I always use the words, I want to make sure, your wife is on the same page with us. You and I can quickly discuss a need. Let's bring out an actual need. Let's figure out that if you don't show up tomorrow, we have to have something in place here to make sure that your wife is good, or your kids, or whoever. But we need her. Happy wife, happy life, or, whatever the case may be. And then just try to book a strong appointment. We all know even then you can book a strong appointment for a follow-up. They don't answer, but the follow-up after that is, we need to make sure all parties who are going to be involved when you pass away need to be there. And I think that by us telling them that, if your tone and delivery is correct, I think they're actually appreciative of the fact that you're not trying to jam a policy down their throat on the phone call with them right then and there,
Yeah, they are for sure. And I found too, guys, like if you just wait now, it can be tough because you're like, oh my God, I got this person on the phone. I don't know if I'm ever going to get them on the phone again. I promise, if you follow up enough, you're going to get them on the phone again.
Right.
Because if they don't buy insurance from you, they're going to buy it from someone else.
Right.
The only reason why people make aged lead sales is because the person who bought the lead at first didn't follow up enough.
Correct.
When it was a new lead. Right. So if you follow up enough, you get in touch with them. And I used to have a thing where I would call someone 10, 12, 15 times. I didn't care. Like separate different occasions, text them. Always text people too, because people will read text messages, not answer a call.
Love them. Texting it's where this whole ship is headed, my friend. It's like, I still think at the end of the day, I try to tell folks, I work with a lot of veterans, and I tell them right on the phone, like, you guys are stubborn. You guys are stubborn human beings. You're the most prideful human beings ever. You should be. You're the best people on the planet. Being stubborn when it comes to life insurance can truthfully create financial nightmares for your family. You want to call into the TV ad, or you want to, send that mailer in from the mail without talking to an agent, and you're a perfectly healthy human being. You're burning money for 2 years if you can get immediate coverage, or, it's just, life insurance is a value. It's not shot by price. It's shot by value. Obviously, we're out here to get them the best price, but How many times have you gotten on the phone with somebody and they're in the wrong product? All the
Oh,
time. All the
and
time.
that's what it happens. And that's why it's important, guys, to know your competition. Like I tell this to new agents, when someone brings up an insurance carrier and you don't know the name of it, write it down, do a little research on it, because if you run into it once, you're probably going to run into it again. And that's like a huge advantage when you can go in and someone can tell you that they have a certain carrier and you already know the ins and outs of that, and you know, hey, is this worth pursuing or not, and what questions you can ask. That's where the delivery comes in too. And if you can be really fast with that, people are impressed. Like I've just sounded so confident in my knowledge of other carriers
Right.
that I don't even have to call the other carrier. It's been after hours and I've done like a replacement or like an addition because I knew it was lacking this, and people just trust me because I sound like I know it. So that's kind of like the delivery there, what he's talking about too, just knowing your stuff and being on the ball.
Yeah, knowing other types of policies, I can remember a couple calls, or actually just like in-homes in the beginning, where your ego gets in the way a lot in this industry, where you don't want to call for help, or and I remember, when we first start, we all want to know everything yesterday. We just have to do it with reps, and I have insurance through work, or I have this through a bank. At first, people don't know what those policies are, and after a while of dealing with them, or learning, you have to learn that if someone says I have 100K through a bank for $15 a month, it's like, well, you realize you have to be thrown in front of a bus for that to pay out, right? Like that's an accidental and dismemberment policy. They think they have life insurance. So if you can properly deliver and let them know what they have, obviously you're just helping them out. So, but you have to know other competition. You have to know other products. And when we're in the final expense world, all the products vary by just a little bit. So it's, price varies a little bit, product varies a little bit, but we're all looking at, smaller whole life policies to help somebody out with funeral costs.
Exactly. So when someone reaches out to you and or like say you take a live transfer, like walk me through your live transfer script, like when you take a transfer.
Live transfer?
Yeah, like if someone calls in for a live transfer, how do you handle that?
Yeah, it's hey Justin, this is Mike. How you doing today? I use your super high energy because people either want to talk to the person that's like straight crazy. They at least want to hear what they're about to say next, or they're going to hear them out. And my name's Mike. I'm a local agent or broker in your area. You can say in your area. Sometimes I say I'm from Connecticut. The world is shifting. At the end of the day, I just break it down to them and say, like, I'm here to serve you. What has you shopping for life insurance today? It's really like that simple to me, because I need that answer right up. I need that answer up front, because a lot of live transfers, you have a buffer. So sometimes people will say, oh, I thought that this was this, or oh, I thought it was that. Well, we got to hop off the phone. But if someone initially says, well, I need to look at quotes, or I need some numbers for, to take care of my funeral costs. Perfect. We work with dozens and dozens of carriers. I just sent you a text. That text has my state license number in it. It's also got a photo ID of myself. And then I go into verifying their information that's up in front of me. And if it's not up in front of me, I start to get their date of birth, their height, weight, all that stuff. And then we go into the process. I need to know what they're looking for. I need to know what they currently have.
Awesome. So that you kind of try to get that out of the way quickly, just in case there's a buffer
for a transfer. Right? Yeah. So like Allweb, there's a certain period of time where they'll give you little trick with Allweb, not trick, but I think you have a minute to refund your quote as a caller disconnected, even though you can hang up. But live transfers, all these leads cost us money, guys. So the more you don't qualify these leads and you're just on with them for a couple minutes, like that stuff adds up over time, just to find out that the lead is, no interest in even talking about life insurance.
Yeah, I know. I teach my agents to say something similar. I say, hey, so at one point in time, you had life insurance on your to-do list. Does that ring a bell?
That's a good one. Great one.
And they're like, oh yeah, yeah. They're like, okay. And then I have them say, well, I'm a licensed life insurance agent, because if they say that and the person stays on the phone, then there's usually, I know normally we try to say benefits coordinator or something like that, but for a transfer, I found if they're like, does life insurance was on your to-do list, and they're like, yeah, then you're like, well, I'm a licensed life and health insurance agent. Then they know that they're there talking to someone who sells insurance without having to say I sell insurance. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I like that. Cool, cool. So um,
I try new
now,
things all the time. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
The other day I sold a couple policies and I was saying, I'm a licensed agent and broker, meaning, we can shop through a ton of carriers. Everybody's situation is different, whether it's health, age, budget, what we have to cover. I'm just the person that helps facilitate the application to the carrier if we can find something that makes sense and that's affordable to you. So
Awesome. I like that.
at that point, they're like, okay, well, this is the guy that's just going to help me fill this application out.
Yeah, I found that like help is a big word, is a big way to pose it. So if you guys look at it like that, like you're not selling someone insurance, you're helping them find a plan and showing them how to apply.
And that's all we're doing, essentially. That's
Yeah, it
really all
really
we're
is.
doing. We're order
That's really
takers.
all.
We're glorified order takers. I break it down like this, right? If somebody sits down as I'm a restaurant guy, so I grew up in that industry. I've been in the industry my entire life. I I talk to clients as if like you're bartending, and then you put down a menu in front of that person, and they want your recommendation. They want to know what
Hmm.
is best, right?
Yeah, they do. You're right.
And again, it's in your tone and delivery to deliver that. Now, if you're in a restaurant, you're trying to sell like the big dog specials, this, that, whatever. But at the end of the day, you'll get clients that just trust you and say, yes, just help me out and get me the best coverage.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people depend on that, guys. Like I think a lot of times when you get I have to think about it objections at the end, it's not even like I have to think about getting insurance. And I hear this when I listen to call recordings. It's like I have to think about which one I want because you haven't really told me which one I should get. So they're kind of stuck in the dark. They're like, I don't know what to do. I got to think about it. So remember that next time you guys if you get an I have to think about an objection, to all my viewers here, make sure that they're not saying that they have to think about how much they're going to get, and that they're actually saying like, hey, I'm just going to think about like whether make sure you're isolating exactly like what the objection is there.
Pull.
How do you handle if someone tells you they have insurance already?
I say great. That's amazing.
Awesome.
I'm glad you believe in life insurance. It's one of the most important things to have. Um, what did that process look like for you? You know, um, I fall short. You hit
I'm
it on
going to
the
take
head
that.
where you don't want to just ask them, right then and there what they have and how much. I catch myself doing it all the time, but I'm doing it because I play it off more like, well, let's make sure someone did right by you. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
someone did right by your family. Let's just check your rates. Let's just check the policy type. If it's good, sweet, we're off the phone. You have the peace of mind. If we can find a hole to plug, you and I can put our heads together and we can figure it out, and I can help you.
Yeah, that's huge. And that comes, guys, too, with like, I feel like that's hard to say if someone doesn't really know the different products that are out there, though.
Right.
Because then someone like, yeah, because then you're setting yourself like, new, if you're brand new doing this and someone's like, I already have insurance, you're like, great, what do you have? And they're like, this company, then you really don't know. So you got to make sure you're not setting yourself up for that stuff. But I'd say the same thing. I try to do a policy review and I'll say, hey, look, I want to make sure that everything you have is exactly what you should have. And I'm kind of like the insurance doctor. So before I can kind of prescribe whether you're going to get an additional treatment or keep with what you have, I got to know exactly what you have already. And I would rather have you be right and have us like exactly what you think you have than have me be right. And then 15 years down the road, there's some complications there. So I don't want to over prescribe you anything. So let's reach out to them, ask some questions. And sometimes they're totally taken care of. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing I can't
Yeah. And
do anything.
and if you're okay, and if you let them know that you're completely okay with that, then they're okay with it because you're not sounding like someone that's just here to switch a policy for for no reason. But you're right. You have to know the term to 80s, the term to 90s, the 5-year increasing term policies. You have to know. I always ask the question, did you speak to an agent or did you go through something like in the mail? Did you mail something in? Right? That's a
Yeah.
clutch question because if they say that they mailed something in, they're in a graded product or a guaranteed product, which might be the right product, but you might be able to save that client money or add coverage and get them immediate coverage, through one of your carriers, just because they didn't talk to anybody, right? Um, Peter had the power question. I have the power questions up right now. Um, if I can help you, I'll do my very best the same way I did for my family. Or if you were to die right now, who's impacted most financially? Are we sitting with all the decision makers for this conversation? If you and I can build some trust and you believe in me, is there any reason why we wouldn't see if you can get approved today if we can find something affordable? That's his question. Sometimes I say, do you need permission from your wife? Just straight up. Do you need permission from your wife, sir? And he's like, what? Do you need permission from your wife? I'm asking you, do you need permission from your wife? No, no. At that point, we know he does. He 100% does. So,
Yeah.
um, so
It's good to be straight up though. People appreciate
it's
that.
the
You know,
only
you
way.
just gotta have a conversation.
Authentic. Authentic is what gets you the thank you at the end. And if you get a thank you at the end of these conversations, you're good, man.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, authenticity is huge. Like, it takes some time, guys. I think getting you focus on having a conversation, not necessarily like pitching the client
Bartender.
in like, what's up?
Bartender. Bartender to
Yeah,
sit.
yeah. I got a guy working for me right now who was a bartender for like 25 years, and he has like his conversations with his clients are
No
perfect. And
problem.
at first, it was a little off, and I'm like, dude, just pretend you're talking to a guy on the other side of the bar.
That's it. That's it.
He's like, I can do that. I'm like, yeah. And then it's like, boom. It was just, the rest was history.
And it's at the end of the day, it's not about the life insurance. It's not about what we're selling. It's not about product X or Y or Z. It's about the trust that we're building with the person. Doesn't matter. I've always said, like, this industry or telesales, everything else matters for us to be successful. Like your daily routine is why you're successful. Not because obviously it's because you know how to sell life insurance. You getting on the phone and writing a policy is the easiest part of your day. It's everything else that you do that allows you to be successful. It's the mindset, it's the diet, it's the training, it's just everything else that goes into it. Whether I'm selling sneakers, filet mignon, or life insurance, um, everything your mindset's got to be right. If you're a bartender and your girlfriend just broke up with you and you walk out to the customer and you're like, hey bro, what do you want to drink? That customer's gonna be like, nothing. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Or, if you walk out there, you leave everything, at the door and you treat the customer right, you're off to.
Yeah, sometimes that's easy. I found with some people though that's easier. And it's been with me too. I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing. I think because like I don't know, I hit like a really low bottom in my life, and everybody's got their own bottoms and lows and stuff. But to me, sometimes like things don't really seem as big of a deal as they may to other people. But everybody reacts to things differently. But I think this is such like a mental emotional battle too sometimes because guys, if you're like 10% off up here, you're going to be Rory, who owns SLS, says this. He's like, if you're 10% off up here, you're going to be 20% off on your sales.
That's
If
great.
you're 20% off up here, you're going to be 40% off. And if you're more than 20% off mentally and emotionally, it's like it's going to be really hard to do anything. So you got to figure out a way to compartmentalize.
Yeah, and I think you and I kind of share similar stories, and having a different perspective on life has definitely helped me in this business, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, grateful to wake up and breathe and be able to work from right here and get my kid on the bus and work with my other son. So someone who hangs up on me is It's nothing. Like, and you can't let it bother you. And I think a lot
I
of
think it's funny when someone
what's that?
I think it's funny when someone curses you out on the phone sometimes. It's like wow.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be okay with more no's than yeses. It's just and that's all part of it. Like, can you hear no more than you can hear yes? And a lot of people come in with the ego and they're like, "Ah, dude, I'm not going to hear a ton of no's." It's like, all right, man, all right, have fun with that. Have fun with that.
Yeah, you're gonna have a tough time. Shoot. Cool. So now what if you what's like the biggest objection that you think you run into, or like what's the biggest challenge objection for you, you think, now to overcome when someone says like what's like something someone tells you and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be hard to to get through.
I'll tell you a funny quick one real quick, but I did get over it. This guy, it was a live transfer. He's like, I just want some numbers. I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's like, what's that? I was like, those are numbers. And he was silent. He was like, and then I was like, can we have a conversation now about this? He's like, yeah. He's like, cool. You good? You're good. Um, I think just like everybody else, all right, all of the objections for all of us are pretty much the same. We miss something in the presentation or the structure. Um, and it's the, I think I need to just sit on this or think about it. I think that's the one
Yeah.
that we're all going to see. I don't have an issue with social or routing an account. Um,
I used to. I don't either anymore.
and I think that comes with the tone and delivery. I think that if they feel that they're talking to the professional, they're okay with it. But again, it's points that we have to hit in the beginning about who we are and what we've done and who we work with and how we help, that's allowing them to trust us.
Yeah, exactly. And like making your delivery seamless helps not get resistance when you're asking for the banking and the social. Because if you're going through your whole thing and you're not stuttering or stumbling or saying like or as or anything like that, not like or as, but uh like people feel like you know what you're talking about and they feel like they're talking to the professional.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And there's a level of fake it till you make it here, but there's also a level
yeah,
where like you can't. Not on telesales anyways. I think there's
no.
our industry sees a lot of failure. There's a lack of leadership in our space. If you go through our forums and if you like research and look, you have a ton of horror stories about, this person told me to just do this and then this happened. This person had told me to just do that and then this happened. Coming to work for somebody like you, or someone who's gone through mistakes and now they're trying to, guide the person properly instead of, just kind of sink or swimming. Um,
Hmm.
that's kind of what I wish was going on more in our industry. I just got off topic, but it's
No, you're cool.
it's it's the I want to think about it is the objective. That's the one thing, and I try to sometimes I will say right to the person, I want to have the conversation with you so that when we get to the point in time where we're actually looking for the best coverages, we don't need to think about it. I'll say it out loud, just like that. Um, Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're
Yeah.
not going to close them all. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to try new things. I will at least say that out loud. Like if you're 0 for 20 and you're following a script, please change the script somewhere. Please go to
Yeah.
somebody and ask for help or go, you know, record yourself and listen.
Yeah. Listen.
You know,
Yeah. I I'll ask people too when they say they have to think about it. Like, just be honest. Do you want this? you know, you don't have to lie to me. I got plenty of people to talk to.
yeah,
Do you want it?
you can always
Just
go
let 'em know.
when it comes to thinking about it. What do we have to think about? Do you hate me? No, maybe. Do you do you trust in the company that we're providing with you after what we just, went over? Yes. All right. So obviously, and 99% of the time, it comes down to price, right? It comes down to price. So,
Yeah.
um, it's tough sometimes when somebody's like, I got 100K for $54 a month. Can you beat it? It's like, I need a little bit more information than that, my friend.
Yeah.
Um, but, you know, breaking through sometimes
Yeah.
over the phone, it's difficult, man.
So you prefer mortgage protection or final expense? Or you like to just kind of switch it
I
up,
like I like a
whatever?
change. Over the summer, I had a pretty good mortgage protection funnel, and it was awesome. It was great. Um, but again, we're running into when you talk to a 75-year-old man who has a 30-year mortgage, it's like, hey, sir, I just want to point this out. The bank thinks you're going to pay this off when you're 105 years old. Just does that resonate with you? He's like, well, I never even thought about it like that. It's like, well, why wouldn't you think about it like that? The bank is hoping that there's no income replacement, that when you die, they're coming to scoop that house. So,
Yeah.
uh,
They get the house and all the money.
and the equity. So,
Yeah.
um, those were tough appointments, because equity protection in general is fairly tough. Over the phone, even tougher, right? So, but yeah, I like a mix of whatever. Again, it all boils down to me. It doesn't matter what we're selling. If I can build rapport and get some trust with the client, we're walking through something and we're going to advise them through something, and we're going to get it done.
Awesome. Sweet. So let's set up some steps here. So if someone's struggling in telesales, um, and or just some like valuable steps. We'll give like a few major pointers here on things that they can do to help. So what's like the first thing you'd say if someone's struggling? What would you recommend for them to do?
Well, so when we break it down and you reverse engineer it, it's all going to be on a giant spreadsheet. Like, are your leads, do you have everything organized? What does that look like? What dialing software are we using? What's your CRM look like? If you're just trying to wing it, I think all of us can wing it to a certain extent, but telesales, it'll chew you up and spit you out quickly if you don't have all your stuff together. So, if you're going to have telesales, make sure you have the right setup. Make sure that there's no, crazy noises in the background, nothing that's going to give the client any opportunity to just hang the phone up.
Mhm.
I think stepping up and getting away from your computer at some point during the day is huge. You can get worn out
Yeah.
quick. You can get, just completely, you just get completely over it when you're sitting here. But I would say always train, always always implement, always have your script up, always have objections up. I have two huge monitors in front of me, and there's scripts and questions in front of me, and their application is on another screen, and their information is, on that the same screen but in half. Um,
Yeah.
stand up. I stand up for a lot of these calls. Sitting down, you can hear, right? Like, you can hear it when people are sitting down or standing up or smiling or not
Yeah,
smiling.
you can. Yeah.
And have
All right. So have a right setup.
what's that?
Yeah, so number one, have the good setup.
Yeah, I think for telesales, I think you have to have a great setup. Obviously, steady lead flow, right? Got to have a steady lead flow. Are you booking appointments? Do you have self-booking appointments? Do you have someone booking appointments for you? Um, it's tough.
I talked to a guy who the lead. This is pretty cool about lead flow. So there's a guy who owns an insurance company that I know of, and I was talking with someone that works with him. He's one of his downlines. So this guy owns an insurance carrier, um, and I think most important things for him are how many people did they hire and how many leads were purchased. Those are the only two things he cares about. So he told him, he said, well, not only two things he cares about, but he said, like, those are the two. Someone told me that he said that that person says that those are the two most important reports because it indicates, hey, what's our growth look like for
Makes sense.
the future? And then how many leads were worked or purchased is going to indicate how much production was there. Now, I hate being that guy that says just buy more leads, but that's kind of, I mean, it's like I look at it from a perspective of a team. So like if I have 100 agents working 1,000 leads, we're going to have the same production as if 50 agents worked 1,000 leads. It's not going to be much different, right? So if you look on the grand scheme of things, guys, it's really with lead flow, it does come down to that, which is why too it's like important. Hey, work some face to face so that you don't like burn through your leads because you will.
You shred
if
through
you
them
do.
faster over the phone for sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I've never really looked at it that way. And it's right. The more leads, the more families we protect. That simple, right? So,
We're in the lead business. The person who can get better at working the most amount of leads is the one who's going to make the most money.
and that's we talk about all this good. There's a lot of all we see is the good a lot, right? Like there's a lot of terrible in my days. There's a lot of awful days. There's a lot of offers.
Oh,
There's
me
a
too.
lot of, and watching Peter's video the other day and just kind of following you, I've learned a lot of holes. I've plugged a lot of holes in my game. And it's funny, I reached out to him after I watched that
Awesome.
training, and I have pretty much the same setup as him, except for I wasn't outbound. I was having an appointment setter set on my appointments. So 15, 12, 15, 10, 12, 13 a day or whatever. They all have the opportunity to not pick the phone up, right? Which is great because if you have good leads and you book 15, you're probably going to talk to, realistically, probably talk to five, six people in there, at least qualified, like good pickups. To have that every day, to have an appointment setter setting that every day consistently, it's tough, but he just outbounds, right? So when he's outbounding, he's one call closing, and if he's not one call closing, he's setting the appointment. It's almost like, why wouldn't we just outbound dial with whatever, we have tons of that software, whether it's Phone Burner or Wavy or whatever, but outbound dial these leads that are coming in real time, try to one call close them, and then just set the appointment if you don't, or if it's not set up.
Yeah.
And I've seen production already go up because I had it backwards.
Yeah, I mean, I always that's what I started calling. What I started telesales because I had face-to-face appointments, and it was funny. It's crazy. It's a funny story. So this lady, the first lady I ever saw telesales, I had an appointment. She was in Miami, and it was the middle of the day, and I'm like, dude, I do not want to drive in Miami traffic to get to this lady's house, like in the middle of like rush hour. So I called her and I was like, hey, I'll go over everything with you on the phone, and if you decide you want it, then I'll make the trip to your house. So she was like, okay, cool. So I did that, and then she was like, all right, we settled on like $30 a month. I was like, oh god. So I was like, so I went, I went and drove to her house. It was still a payment. I'm like, whatever, it was a policy. Yeah, did it. Went there, signed her up, and then she actually filled out another lead form the other day. So I was running ads, and I hadn't talked to her because I sold her Mutual of Omaha, and I hadn't talked to her for years because I got lost my writing number, kicked out of the portal, stuff like that. So I saw the lead come, and I was like, no way, this was my first telesales sale ever. Her name was Haiti Goslin, and I called her. And I was like, hey, this is Justin. I told you that Mutual of Omaha policy. And she was like, you are the worst agent I've ever worked with. Where have you been? I haven't talked to you in 3 years. And I was like, whoa. And she was like, yeah, am I going to get all the money back from that policy? I don't want it anymore. I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's insurance, It's like, it was just funny. It's like, I don't know. It was just so like, it was a blast from the past, And I'm like,
Worst agent.
Ran.
I mean, There's a difference between the P&C world and the life insurance world. And like that just rung a bell of like, follow-ups or client reviews or birthday cards. Like when you're working home and auto, man, you have to hire somebody to have customer service or retention. And it is
Hmm.
nonstop for those guys because that stuff,
Medicare
yeah, that
too.
stuff's shopped all day, every day, right? So
Medicare, all the Medicare guys, they say that they need
yeah,
that. But yeah,
life insurance, it's got to be done correct. I tell the guys, like, it's not windows, it's not siding, it's not cell phone insurance. You can't fix it when you're dead. It's got to be done right. So talk to somebody you trust, talk to somebody that is going to do right by you because we cannot fix this when you're 6 feet under. And how many GoFundMe funerals or how many loans are taken out or how many just financial nightmares do we see? Dude, funny story about selling a policy. I didn't want to break this one out on the guy, but I had to. And I was like, listen, your wife will not have the funds to pay for the mortgage when you pass away. It's like, I don't know what she's going to do. Her options are have the kids move in, go live with this person, have another guy move in. He's like, what? I was like, how would she
hmm.
pay? Would she get another boyfriend? And he was like, how much did you say that was a month? Now, am I lying? No. That's a
No, you're not,
real
no, but you're
deal
being real.
story.
It is. It's real. Yeah. But those hard questions, that's the thing. People get scared
You
to ask
can't
hard questions, but hard questions, man, hard questions get the
challenge
sales, man.
people. I always say, like, let's figure out what boxes we need to check and let's practically check them off. I'm a single father, right? Budget is everything to me. But there are boxes we need to check and we need to do it properly. So, at the end of the day, if we're penny pinching for some stuff, penny pinching in life insurance can leave people packing or broke or, you know, you've seen, yeah,
Penniless,
the financial ripple effects that it takes.
for sure. Cool. Well, hey, Mike, appreciate this, man. I learned a lot. I hope all you guys watching this learned a lot. If anybody wants to get in touch with Mike, how do they reach out to you,
You can
Mike?
text me 860-710-3296. Um, you know, I don't do a ton of social media yet. I'm very old school. I know I need to. I know I should be more active. Um, seeing
There are plenty of heavy hitters
this
on
whole
social.
woke culture thing's got me spinning, man. I just you know what I mean? I want to get rid of social media for a week and see what our country's like. It'd be anarchy.
Yeah.
It'd be anarchy. But no, I'm on Facebook, obviously. I'm on Instagram. Feel free to text me. You know, I've set 2023 is going to be a great year for me. I've taken the last
Nice, bro.
12 months of my life, 18 months ago, left a certain, toxic whatever. No, no need to get into it, but it's all because I have goals and dreams in this industry and life insurance is a vehicle for us to do a lot of good. All I try to do is give back. I dropped off a bunch of white t-shirts and socks and fresh underwear to a
Nice.
detox like a month or two ago, just because like, it's
Nice,
just
man.
help, right? Like it feels good.
I gotta
When
do
you
that.
when you are having a crappy day, you go 0 for 6, but then you go help somebody, like it's it's a good
Love
day,
that.
right? So we do backpacks for schools in the beginning of the year, my mom and I, and I was homeless at one point in my life, man. So being able to help is
Me too.
all I care about. And life insurance is that vehicle. So 2023 is going to be the year. This past year was switching from in the field to telesales, figuring out the leads, figuring out the setup, figuring out the appointments, how many people we have to talk to, what kind of training do we need to do. And I feel like that's kind of all here right now. I turned 40 on the
Hmm.
23rd. Jesus, that's terrible. But very, looking forward to 2023 because there's no distractions. There's nothing but work to be done.
Love
So
it.
super pumped up. Thank you, and thank you.
Sweet, bro. Well, I'm happy for you, and that means a lot. I'm telling you, those donations are going to change someone's life, man. I wore donation clothes for like a year when I fixed my life up, and that made a huge
Yeah, his
deal.
suitcase
Just
was a
get
black
something nice.
plastic bag, man. That was the suitcase.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it's a good perspective to have, man, and it's just good to help people. That's it. It's good to help people.
It is. It feels good, man. Cool. Well, hey, Mike, appreciate you, dude. If you need anything, I'm here to help. If anybody wants to reach out to Mike, you got his number. Check out there. If you want to email me, jve@thejve.com. And you don't want to miss this next video coming up because this is really going to help you change the game for your sales. You don't want to miss this interview that I got